Sama Yama Nupala Yabenza Satopatishta Duridomi Bawa Sutko Yaomi Bawa Supko Yaomi Bawa Anuraktumi Bawa Starva City Mi Prayacha Starva Karma Sutomi Tishtam Sri Lankurohang Haha Haha Ho Bangawan Starva Tadkate Benza Mami Mucho Benza Benza Bawa Maha Samayatva Ahang Fet. Hello humans, sort of humans, earthbound spirit humans. I think I'm going to talk about what I've been up to for the last 6 years. I've been on a funny little mission ever since 2011 hit, and I was always woke. I was always a little kid who spoke way too much truth. No idea where it comes from half the time. But then, once 2011 hit, I got hit over the head with a crowbar. Everything stolen from me, and I just knew that I had to go do something different. So 2012, you hear all those prophecies and stuff, but just before 2012, or around 2012, between the end of 2011 and 2012, I found out about the whole Cryon deal, and was like, wow, this is what's happening, cool. I'm not so scared now. But there's something about, since connecting with that energy, my life, topsy-turvy, upside down, and then all around and around and around and around, and spiraled up and spiraled down, and it went everywhere. A little bit out of control, I must say. And it leads me to this space in 2018 where I'm ready for the directional awareness more so. I've just been on a journey, traveling around, going through the homeland, being my homeland, being born in BC in Canada, and visiting all those key places that I remember as a kid, and trying to regain the energy and understand why was I born there? What is the earth saying to me? What is the point of all of this? Why am I constantly being taken into some esoteric realm and then put back on earth being like, oh, I'm sorry. This is hard, I know, but this is what you're supposed to do. So, not the whole time, but periodically on and off, since being back in BC, I've pretty much been homeless. In the winter times, I go to different cities and I try to stick it out for a little bit, and I always go absolutely bonkers because since everything shifted, I can literally see through people's intentions. So working at a job, I vowed to myself that I'd never cook meat again, because I don't like feeling that, because I'm a total feeler. And so then I switched my purviews to only getting jobs that are, if I'm going to work in the kitchen, they're going to be vegan. And extra bonus if they're gluten-free, just because you get to help all these wonderful people who are afflicted by GMOs and stuff. And I would continuously get these jobs, and then I would continuously lose my mind. Within a month, I could see the boss's intent, and then I could see how they're screwing people over and they're not actually helping people. So it doesn't really matter if you're a vegan and gluten-free business. If your intention sucks, doesn't matter. And I feel that right away. And then it's usually winter time, so I have to stick it out for a couple months just so that I'm not sleeping on the street in the snow. And then springtime comes and I go duck out into a forest and it's like this, and then it all perpetuates again. And I do really well in a shamanic sense where I can sit and I can meditate, I can talk to the earth, talk to the plants, understand the shapes of the plants and what medicines they hold. And this has all come, like, I've done some research through having books and stuff, but mostly it's just watching, meditating, getting the answers, and then going forth. But there's a point now where I'm stretched so thin, and it's not so fulfilling to be a loner hermit in the forest anymore. And it's really hard to switch after being in that for so long and switch it to something that's more positive, and then not knowing how to utilize these gifts that I've been acquiring for all this time. And I'm kind of stuck in this balanced or unbalanced or spherical strange state that's constantly moving around. And I can feel that there's something coming out of all of this, because I pretty much call it a synchronicity walk. Pretty much when I get an idea, oh, I'm gonna go do this, and then I'll go, and it could be packing all my stuff in a bag and going to a new town and just seeing what's there. And I realized that most people aren't ready for what's there. So then I kind of get back into the hermit mode and become recluse and have a really hard time with the human deals again. And it's been like this over and over and over again. Even when I go to a lot of spiritual workshops and stuff, a lot of times I like to do a sneaky. Sneak. I like to hang out outside of workshops, outside of spiritual things, because I like to see who interacts with those outside of that funny little boxed in room that they're in, hearing all these enlightened things and then walking out of the box and never practicing them. So I get to create little murals and have little art pieces and just like try to lure people in and have these conversations outside of these rooms. And oftentimes, unless someone remembers me from some other state, very rarely does someone come out and actually meet me halfway. And I've noticed that we've gotten to this state where people are so comfortable learning about or listening to the spiritual stuff, but they're not so good at applying it into their lives. And recently I had a conversation with someone, and it's, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So we're in this state where we have all these good intentions, but we don't have all these good actions to follow these good intentions. And it's kind of buggering us up a little bit, because people are so ready to finally take the next step and express, but nobody wants to receive that which is outside of a box. When you go into a box, the spiritual box, you listen to a spiritual leader, and then you leave the box, and then all those spiritual teachings are still inside the box, and maybe you took something small, but you haven't integrated any of it. And we're getting to this point that we can't do that anymore. We can't just, sit on the sidelines or be fence sitters. We have to choose to dive into the illustrious depths of the deep unknown. And that's the Fool's Journey. And the Fool's Journey is projected through the tarot card. And the Fool's Journey, a lot of people think that their whole life is the Fool's Journey, but the Fool's Journey is, if you know anything about like clowns or the Hayoka, any of these sacred aspects of clowning, the Fool's Journey, the clown is when you take that step and then everything unfolds after that. And this is kind of where I've been basically my whole life, being constantly in this upside down sort of suspended realm, living with others, being born breached, so feet first, and then dying, and then being in an incubator with no human contact, and just being in this space suit that's trying to contain my reality until I can be strong enough to get out of it. So I've always been in this other realm, this fool's journey, but then it reinitiated me through, you know, the whole wake up, the whole 2012, the whole everything needs to change. So then I completely went into that journey and decided, okay, let's commit myself to this. And now I'm at this point where I have to commit myself to the human world and bring those teachings into the human world. I'm not going to lie, that's very difficult. I am struggling a lot with this, hence the videos. Just try to speak out about these things, because I'm ready to use this voice, but I don't know fully the platform to use it yet. So YouTube's kind of like the platform that everyone's on some level or another, rather than going to poetry slams or going to these reading nights and people getting lost with the amount of heady work that I've done. So it's time. It's time that we go forth and learn anew, because we just can't do this anymore the way that we've been doing it. It's not working. We need to step up. We need to rise up. We need to say what's on our hearts and what's on our minds and put them together into a cohesive faction. And so mostly this is going to be my inspiration to push me to actually get to those points, because I have a really hard time with pushing myself in some level or another. I do better when I have allies or partnerships or communities that help, create this. But right now, it seems we talk about having all these communities, spiritual communities, but when it comes to the action part, we don't really have a spiritual community that's committed to action. There are small fractions of the communities that are, completely dedicated to action, but on the base human psyche level, we're not engaging in that quite appropriately enough. And that comes with stop being scared of people. And it's also time to speak our truth. There was a time where people couldn't understand this truth, and it was just being weird and obnoxious. But now we're getting to a point where people are ready to hear it, but more than they're ready to hear it, they're ready to see it. I see it. You gotta do it. If you do it with your actions, people see that. And those actions, they create something stronger than any words could ever put in. Words are very important. They created the whole world. But actions is what actually makes the world turn. So, yeah. Thank you.